serve him. That is the logic of African worldview. Now, this is very important for us because it leads us on to how do we conceptualize God. God, for me, in the African community, is a community of relations. It's a community relation whose nature includes his relationship with other beings. It's a community of relations. That is, God's nature comes to us in the way in which he deals with each aspect of life. The social and cosmic demands for spiritual support give rise to specific ritual procedures whose aim is to guarantee a social order against chaos and cosmic disasters. A typical example of what can be described as ritual is that which ensures social society against chaos. In the African society, for example, in the Ashanti society, they have 40-day cycle where they perform rituals, and it's done by the chief and the elders. The purpose is to guarantee society against disorder. Among the gangs of which I'm part, there is an instituted ritual of cleaning the town during the festival. And it's very, very important. You can look at almost all the festivals. There's an important part of cleaning. It's present in most festivals. Among the gangs, it's done by the chief priest with the elders, and with a special broom, he sweeps the edges of the town. And among the Ashantis, the chief and the elders do it. The significance of this cleaning is that we don't know what might have happened throughout the year, but we are doing this cleaning in order to drive away evil that has befallen the city. So in the festivals, you have this ceremony being done. Well, this is 30 minutes, eh? Okay. Let me come to. In Ghana, one of the things that the Christians have done is to criticize libation of all types. But I think that in traditional religion, libation is very significant, because that for us is the way by which individuals deal with the spiritual world. And salvation, libation for us is a way in which we approach God and pray the deities. It's a way of invoking spiritual presence with us. So it is very, very important in terms of our way of worship of these spiritual beings. Sometimes the libation prayer is done to invoke God, and in much of our ceremonies, you find that God is seriously invoked at the beginning of all serious libations, which shows the presence of deity, which is important. So I've rushed through the methodological procedures. Let me just say a few things about evangelism in Africa from both Christian and Muslim perspective. Evangelism in Africa from the perspective of African religion, and it starts from the foundation of African philosophy that affirms that all creation comes from God. All creation comes from God. This inclusive attitude of African spirituality should be the spiritual and philosophical foundation of the road to mission in Africa. One point that one can start from is the material benefits of missions as ushering us into the presence of God where nothing will be impossible. This must be the conviction of mission to the African, whether he's Christian or Muslim. But normally when we start with the benefits of the material side of mission, we get easily drawn into the doctrinal forms, who become ideologies, and then they begin to separate us. And this is where precisely we find the difficulties in our religion and the way we relate to people. It often happens when we are called upon to intervene in political situations without much preparations. On this occasion, we need to show resilience and faith in God in moving presence that assure us of the readiness of God to intervene. What is needed in these things is faith. Our faith is what is needed. Nevertheless, if we can approach evangelism from these two related perspectives, then we can build a lasting trust with all people. But this is where we have a problem, because in the end, we are also human. The basic procedure here is how to deal with people. This is where we can introduce our doctrine in dialogue. And they say that this is when we can say without difficulty, we are all empowered by the Holy Spirit to work in this field. The power and the force of prejudice in evangelism is a crucial issue for both Christians and Muslims. The historical and theological issues of prejudice are still present with us, and these are things that we must be able to help transform. Here, African traditional religion, with its doctrine of creation, can help us to overcome the little instances where prejudice can destroy our mission. African traditional religion, with emphasis on the mystery of creation, invites us to a union of everything in creation under the leadership of God, in whose presence we are nothing except those who receive. This is a message from African traditional religion, to look at our neighbors as our true brothers and sisters who belong to God's creation. I believe that we can first try to discover traditional religion as a legitimate religion, because in the end that is what informs our interaction with those other religions. It is in this religion that we have values. If we try to do some analysis, we can find that we'll be able to trace some of our deep sentiments and emotions back to these traditional norms. African traditional religion can become a religion in preparation for salvation, if we choose to make it so. I believe that the problem with traditional religion coming from both Christianity and Islam can be resolved if we are willing to respect traditional religion. When we look at the history of Islam, we see something very exciting about Muhammad. It is said that one time Christians came to visit the Prophet and they want to have prayers. He insisted that they go into the mosque to have their prayer. This is a universal conscious man. In the same way also Jesus said, if they are not against us, they are for us. So we find these perspectives in both Jesus and Islam about the universality of both Islam and Christianity. In Christian and Muslim philosophy, we have a goal to save all and unite all. There's transcendent values of this religion should be our goal. The African religion and philosophy is inviting us with new insights and strength to hold up to the proclamation